At the New Year's Eve dinner, relatives competed over their children's achievements. I, 25 and still studying, became the target while my cousin Sophia basked in her glory as a key employee at Wilson Enterprises. The whole family mocked me as an unaccomplished bookworm. Sophia announced with pride, "Mr. Wilson's dining next door and wants to stop by." My breath hitched when the elegantly dressed man entered. John Wilson, my ex-boyfriend. I scrambled to leave, but his cold voice stopped me. Running away? Got something to hide? Clutching my canvas bag, I stammered, "No. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. I'm Emily, Sophia's cousin." He ignored my frantic eye signals, his gaze frosting over. My mother hissed warningly, "Emily, sit down this instant." Slumping back into my chair, I watched Auntie fawn over John. "Mr. Wilson, join us. We're practically family." I nearly snorted. This germaphobe would never. Don't mind if I do. My head snapped up to see John's humorless smirk as he took the seat opposite me, separated only by the lazy Susan. Auntie summoned servers to reset the table with fresh utensils. John ignored the replacements, fixing me with that familiar intense stare. "So you're Sophia's cousin? Full name?" Before I could answer, Sophia cut in. "This is Emily. Please excuse her manners, she's always been academically focused." Auntie added with disdain, 25 and still buried in textbooks. No social graces whatsoever. John raised an eyebrow. "Is that so?" "Oh yes." Auntie gushed. "Our Sophia's completely different, beautiful, cultured. You're a star employee." John's attention never left me. "Graduate school? 3rd year." I muttered. "University? Major?" I stared stubbornly at my plate until Mom jabbed my ribs. "Lincoln State. Industrial design." The lie I'd fed him years ago unraveled. I braced for explosion, half expecting him to produce lie detector results. Instead, John slid a business card across the table. "Join Wilson Enterprises after graduation. New project needs educated leadership." Sophia shot up. "The Springscape collaboration? But that's my..." John paused at the doorway. "You'll make an excellent receptionist. Consider it a promotion." The door clicked shut behind him, leaving stunned silence. When servers returned to take additional orders, Auntie snapped, "Get out!" before rounding on me. "You know him?" "Never met." Sophia sat frozen, her golden child crown slipping. Across the table, Mom's glare promised later interrogation. I crumpled the business card in my damp palm, its embossed letters cutting into my skin. "John Wilson, CEO." This year, after switching jobs and thriving in my career, my aunt specially booked this New Year's Eve dinner at a 5-star hotel. It was supposed to be her moment to show off. One moment of heaven, one moment of hell, that perfectly described their moods tonight. My mom lifted her teacup, took a sip, and said leisurely, "Now, Sophia, don't take it too hard. Working as a receptionist at a listed company still sounds impressive." My dad glared at her. "Can't you see she's upset? Learn to read the room." The dinner ended awkwardly. My uncle and aunt stormed off to pay the bill. My dad chased after them to argue over the check, and my mom tried to stop him. Lagging behind, I quietly packed the leftover braised pork bones to feed stray dogs later. Just as I reached the private room door, the light suddenly dimmed. I stepped back instinctively as John strode in and locked the door behind him. He glared at me. "Running away again?" I played dumb. "Mr. Wilson, what do you mean? Should I call you Emily or Isabella?" He smirked coldly. "You used me and vanished without a trace, no contact. Nothing. Now that I'm here, repeat the breakup excuse you gave me 3 years ago." I mumbled an apology. "I'm sorry. Mr. Wilson. Say it. You're type B blood. I'm type B too. Our kids might end up with 2B blood. 3 years ago, I'd fed John the same line. Back then, he'd earnestly explained he wasn't actually type B. I'd demanded, recite your ID number then. He'd obediently rattled off every digit. See? Our ID numbers don't match. We're incompatible. Then I'd blocked him everywhere. Now, meeting his icy stare, I blurted, I shouldn't have lied. But we're truly not right for each other. Oh. How so? The fortune teller warned me dating anyone surnamed Wilson would bring bloody disasters. John suddenly gripped my wrist, his palm scorching hot. My pulse raced as he leaned closer. Keep spouting nonsense, he said through gritted teeth, and you'll get that bloody disaster right now. Under the bright chandelier, his dark hair gleamed with subtle highlights. Those familiar eyes, now frosty, inexplicably reminded me of 3 years ago, dimmed bedroom lights, steam curling from the shower, him blow-drying my hair, warm fingers trailing down my neck, that passionate flush spreading across his eyelids, peach blossom eyes glazing over like misty spring rain over mountain rapids. I swallowed hard. Can't we part amicably? My phone rang, Mom calling. Emily, are you feeding strays again? Get home now. Right away. Hanging up. I gestured at John. My mom's waiting. He tightened his grip. Address. What? Give me your real address and unblock me. His tone turned dangerous. Block me again, and I'll show up at your doorstep to watch you unblock me in person. Tearfully, I restored his contact and sent my address. John scoffed. Another fake location? How dare you doubt me? Con artists forfeit the right to be trusted. I knew I was in the wrong and silently deleted the fake neighborhood name and house number I just made up, typing in my real address instead. John put away his phone, looking satisfied. Before leaving, he vengefully ruffled my hair. Walking back through the snow, memories from 3 years ago flooded my mind. Back then, I'd just finished my second attempt at graduate school entrance exams. My relationship with my family had deteriorated so badly that I didn't even go home for Chinese New Year. During my trip to clear my head, the pandemic hit, trapping me in a hotel where I killed time gaming. That's how I accidentally met John, who was quarantined next door. Maybe it was the suspension bridge effect or hormones raging in confinement. Regardless, we became involved. At the time, I didn't know John's true identity. To me, he was just an absurdly handsome man with peculiar habits, germophobic tendencies, banning even mild swearing, forget dirty talk, clinging like octopus during sleep, and insisting on keeping lights on. When the quarantine lifted and my exam results came through, I needed to prepare for interviews. I broke up with him, convinced we'd never meet again. Reaching my apartment building, my phone lit up with John's message, that cousin who put laxatives in your milk during your first grad school attempt. That was Sophia, right? I stared at the screen before pocketing my phone without replying. The moment I opened my front door, I found my father standing grim-faced in the foyer, coat already on. My mother sat rigidly on the sofa, the air thick with tension. Come apologize to your uncle's family now, my father commanded coldly. If Sophia won't forgive you, don't bother celebrating New Year here. I bent to change shoes without responding. As I straightened up, his palm came flying. Are you listening? Where's your respect for elders? Though I dodged, his nails still scraped bloody trails down my cheek. Watching blood droplets hit the floor, I suddenly laughed. Should have said that earlier. I wouldn't have come. You fucking. My mother's mocking voice cut in. Oh. Now I'm involved too? Since you adore Sophia so much, why not have your sister-in-law give her to us? God knows you've never approved of Emily. Why would I approve? She's practically a seductress. One meeting and she's got Mr. Wilson targeting Sophia. How could my perfect niece compare? Boring. So boring. Lowering my head. I thought, who'd believe a father using such words against his daughter? In high school, I'd anonymously posted about family issues online. Countless replies told me to self-reflect since all parents love their children. For years I agonized over what I'd done wrong. Turning the doorknob, I said, "I'll leave then. Enjoy your family reunion." "Who the hell do you think you're threatening?" The slam of the door severed his roar. Empty-handed, I walked to the neighborhood gate searching hotels on my phone when John's voice startled me. He emerged from his black Lamborghini, storming toward me. "Weren't you going home? What happened?" His eyes locked on my bleeding cheek. "Who did this?" "Scratched myself by accident." I hesitated, sizing him up. "Mr. Wilson, why are you guarding my doorstep this late at night instead of going home? Afraid you'd run away?" His intense gaze locked onto me like a long-defrauded creditor finally cornering a fugitive boss attempting another escape. We stood dangerously close, his crisp woody fragrance reminiscent of honeysuckle enveloping me. Momentarily dazed, I quickly recovered and resorted to my habitual nonsense, me fleeing. "You chasing? I'd never escape your grasp." "Where would you go?" 5 words that silenced me. After prolonged hesitation, I mumbled, "Not sure. Maybe check into a hotel tonight and return to campus tomorrow." But with post-pandemic travel restrictions lifted during Lunar New Year, every hotel in the city overflowed with tourists and visiting relatives. Disturbing friends at this hour seemed equally inconvenient. As I pondered, John's voice cut through, "No vacancies. If you don't mind, stay at my place tonight." John proved wealthier than I'd imagined. His Lamborghini glided into the city's most exclusive neighborhood, the elevator ascending to a 19th-floor penthouse. The minimalist living room spanning twice my apartment's size radiated understated luxury. Every surface mirror polished. Hovering at the entryway, I stared at my dusty slippers with uncharacteristic embarrassment. Oblivious, John handed me new house shoes. "Change these. I'll start the water heater, you should shower first." I scuffed my toes against the floor. "Won't this bother your parents, living alone?" His tone remained matter-of-fact. "Fought with them. Spending New Year's solo." Those simple words inexplicably tightened my throat. 3 years ago during our brief relationship, I'd fiercely guarded my personal details while he'd laid himself bare. That New Year's Eve, sharing drinks, he'd asked why I never called home. When I deflected, he'd smiled wistfully. "My parents never liked me." Alcohol moistened his eyes, transforming him into a wounded puppy. Impulsively, I'd vaulted across the table to kiss him. Younger then, he'd pushed my shoulders away, protesting against casual affairs. Cradling his face, I'd coaxed, "Then let's date properly. Officially. Emily." John's voice pierced through shower spray. Startled, I turned off the faucet. Pajamas by the door. The plain charcoal men's sleepwear hung absurdly oversized on my frame. Emerging towel-dried, I found John arranging beer cans on the dining table. I examined a can skeptically. "This is our New Year's celebration?" He smirked. "What else did you want us to do?" The innuendo froze me mid-sip. Gulping hastily, I choked when he asked, "Because of me?" Coughing, I stalled. "What?" "Those facial cuts. Did transferring Sophia upset them?" "Not exactly, sorry." His earnest gaze held mine. "Acted rashly. Should have considered your situation." I didn't know what to say. In the end, I hid my face behind a beer can and muttered hurriedly, "This has nothing to do with you." It truly had nothing to do with John. In this household, my existence served only to highlight Sophia's glamorous life. Her successes magnified my inadequacies. When she struggled, my father would make my life worse to ease her pain. This is what I owe your uncle. He'd repeated countless times. If he hadn't dropped out to work and given me his chance at education, I'd have nothing today, you wouldn't even exist. I'll spend my life repaying him. And you'll spend yours repaying Sophia. As for my mother, I'd known since childhood that she felt little love for me. I was a pawn in her battles with my father, a decorative piece on the chessboard of her life. She'd ignored me as a child, then paraded me around like a trophy when my grades improved. The night before my first graduate school entrance exam, Sophia spiked my milk with laxatives, ruining my performance. My mother, furious, defied my father's pleas for peace and demanded justice until my proud aunt knelt before her, begging forgiveness for Sophia. The triumphant gleam in my mother's eyes as she finally held power over her longtime rival remains etched in my memory. Whenever my aunt displeased her afterward, Mom would casually remark, "If it weren't for what happened during Emily's first exam." The unspoken threat always deflated my aunt like a punctured balloon. My pain had become my mother's weapon against years of humiliation. Effective. So she wielded it relentlessly. Lost in these bitter memories, I drank until the room spun. Through the haze, I felt John lift me onto the guest bed, clinging weakly to his shoulders. I slurred, "Mr. Wilson, when I lied and broke up with you, did you hate me?" His movement stilled. Blurred vision hid his expression, but his voice cut clear through the alcohol fog. "Yes. I hated you." Though a lightweight drinker, my drunken memories stay sharp. I woke to empty rooms and sunlight, panicked by his "I hated you." I fled after leaving a note, washed the pajamas in the washer, just dry them. If they're ruined, I'll replace them. Returning home to pack, I found Mom watching dramas in the living room. She slid John's business card toward me as I hauled out my suitcase. "Start working at his company after graduation. Isn't it time you stopped letting Sophia overshadow you?" I stared at the card, then met her eyes. "What am I to you? Just a tool for competing with Aunt? Ungrateful child," she snapped. "John runs a major corporation. Would I sabotage you?" "Understood," I said flatly, pocketing the card. Spending Lunar New Year alone in the dorm, I kept lights blazing through sleepless nights. On the 5th day, the returning dorm supervisor shared steaming dumplings with me. Mid-bite through a plump sauerkraut-filled pouch, the doorbell rang. "Handsome visitor for you." She winked, expecting a junior needing lab access. I choked on my dumpling at the sight of John's glacial stare in the doorway. "Keep running," he said icily as I scrambled for a napkin. "Mr. Wilson, what brings you here?" "Looking for you." He shoved his hands in his pockets, expression cool. "Weren't you going to compensate me for the pajamas?" "How much?" "I'll Venmo you. 2,600. I burst into tears right there in the dormitory courtyard. "John, this is extortion." Finally stopped calling me Mr. Wilson? A flicker of amusement crossed his eyes. "I'm not lying. The purchase record's still here." He rattled off a long, unfamiliar luxury brand name. Gritting my teeth, I asked, "Can I pay in installments?" John contemplated for a moment. "That works. But there's a condition." His requirement was for me to join his company after graduating in June. I remembered the crystal clear "I hate you" he'd uttered when I was drunk. This had to be revenge for me deceiving and dumping him. He wanted to keep me close for prolonged torment. Yet John formalized the process, making me submit a resume, go through 2 rounds of interviews, before sending an offer letter with surprisingly generous compensation. He said, "I don't want people thinking you got in through connections." Exhausted, I countered, "But didn't I?" "Of course not." Sunlight streamed through the car window as he turned with a soft smile. "I want you because you're the top graduate from Linden University's flagship program. A presidential scholarship recipient. Believe in your excellence. Emily." My heartbeat suddenly spiraled out of control. That afternoon, while revising my thesis, Sophia texted demanding to meet at our campus gate. Busy. Shall I have uncle personally fetch you? Fine. I grabbed a jacket and left. Sophia wore her trademark smug smile. Saw the offer they sent you. Emily, you're not actually considering this, are you? None of your business. Enjoy your receptionist job. Her composure cracked. Think you're special for seducing John? He's just playing with you. He's engaged to a socialite heiress. Pathetic. Aren't you? I nodded sagely. So invested in his marital status, got a crush on your boss? Don't project. She sneered. Though I loathe you, we're still sisters. If you become his mistress, it stains me too. She dragged me to a restaurant where through the glass we saw John across from a curly-haired beauty in red. Rolled sleeves revealed his forearms as he meticulously picked crab meat into her plate, shocking from someone with germophobia. See? That's his real fiancé. Sophia crowed. I studied them critically. John's technique needs work. Sophia blinked. What? He's wasting half the meat. Frustrated by my lack of reaction, she snapped. Stop pretending. With your mediocre looks and skills, you really think he'd choose you over an equal match heiress? Sure. Whatever. I waved dismissively. Got a thesis to finish. In the taxi home, I curled up, rubbing my sternum. The sharp ache faded quickly, leaving numbness. That night, after finishing my thesis revisions, I mindlessly scrolled through TikTok before bed. My finger froze mid-swipe. There she was. The familiar cascade of curls and crimson dress. John's fiancée appeared to be some wealthy heiress. Her sparse profile showcased a dozen posts flaunting lifestyles beyond ordinary reach. The latest video, geotagged at our city's most luxurious 5-star hotel, showed her stunning face in the presidential suite on the 68th floor. The glass window reflection revealed flickering laptop screen lights and a distinctly masculine hand gripping a mouse. The caption read, "Tonight's companion," clinking glasses followed by endless fawning comments. After some hesitation, I typed congratulations and hit send. As a child, I desperately tested my parents for affection, mimicking behaviors from books and friends' families. When perpetual silence became the only response, I learned to swallow my hopes. 3 years ago, when I broke up with John, it wasn't boredom. I panicked upon realizing I'd genuinely fallen for him. How could real feelings emerge from what began as superficial attraction and half-truths? Better to flee than eventually beg for affection from someone who'd lost interest. Yet here we were again, with dormant emotions threatening resurgence. The night before my thesis defense, his messages flooded in. Dinner after your presentation tomorrow? No reply. Morning brought, awake? 10 a.m., starting soon? Don't stress. 11 a.m., running away again? Annoyed by his distractions, I powered off my phone. My meticulous preparation paid off. Even my notoriously strict advisor nodded approval during the flawless defense. Returning to my dorm with laptop in hand, I found John waiting like an angry storm cloud. Shutting me out? Why not block me like last time? He accused. I considered this not a bad idea. His jaw tightened. You wouldn't dare. What do you want, John? After scrutinizing me, he finally said, reservations at that Italian place you could never get into. To celebrate your freedom. My refusal died when he named the restaurant. Swallowing pride with saliva, I mumbled, I'm starving. Let's go. If this was my last meal before his revenge, I'd enjoy it. I devoured seafood pasta while John peeled shrimp, arranging glistening morsels on my plate like offerings. Eat up, he urged, that infuriating half-smile playing on his lips. The scene might have charmed me, had I not witnessed him performing the same ritual for his fiancée's crab feast. Tipsy from finishing most of the Chardonnay, I slumped in the passenger seat of his tangerine Panamera. The cold night air revived me as we idled outside campus. Before opening my eyes, warm pressure brushed my lips. I shoved him away violently, wiping my mouth. I met his feigned composure with level gaze. The car interior humming with tension thicker than the summer night. John, don't you think this behavior is despicable? The color drained from his face as he stared at me intently. After a long pause, he finally spoke hoarsely. What did you say? 3 years ago. It was wrong of me to deceive you with false information and not take our relationship seriously from the beginning. I admit I was initially attracted to your looks and deliberately seduced you. When I broke up with you later without explaining the truth, it's natural you resented me. If you wanted revenge, you could have blocked my graduation certificate through connections or made things difficult after I joined your company. I dug my nails into my palm, taking 2 shaky breaths to steady my voice. Using emotional manipulation for revenge is like losing 1,000 soldiers to kill 800 enemies. How could you do this to your fiancé? John froze. What fiancé? He finally murmured, expecting denial. I pulled up the viral short video and thrust my phone at him. After watching for 2 seconds, his expression turned peculiar. Why would you think she's my fiancé? Still playing dumb? Enraged, I snapped. I saw you two at that restaurant last month. You were cracking crabs for her, though you butchered half the meat with your clumsy hands. John inhaled sharply. That last comment was unnecessary. He leaned over to fasten my seatbelt before driving us to a suburban villa. When the door finally opened, a familiar woman with sleep-mussed curls and wrinkled silk nightgown glared at him. John, did a donkey kick your brain tonight? While you're playing lonely CEO, I've got actual plans. We need to clear up a misunderstanding, John said stiffly, dragging her toward the car. Easy. My skin's delicate. Since when do people demand favors so rudely? Her complaints died as she eyed the vehicle. New car? This flashy color doesn't suit your personality. Someone likes it. John opened the door, revealing my slightly intoxicated form. The woman grinned, extending her hand. Isabella, John's sister. At my skeptical look, she huffed. Same parents. I swear. I took Mom's surname after their divorce. John explained. She saw us having dinner last month. Oh. Isabella smirked. He needed a favor, so he took me out. Noticed my new manicure and tried cracking crabs like some medieval knight, though he massacred half the meat. John's temple twitched. We don't need play-by-play commentary. So it was all a misunderstanding. Pressing cold knuckles to my burning cheeks, I mumbled. The video you posted earlier, who's that guy? My new boyfriend. Got a problem? Isabella taunted. Chin lifted. At least I'm not some aging virgin who lost his first love. Don't tell people we're related. She flounced inside, where a tall figure immediately pulled her into a passionate kiss against the foyer wall. We definitely interrupted something. Back in the car, John finally broke the silence. Nothing to say? I'm sorry. You ghosted me because of this delusion? Under his piercing gaze, I reluctantly nodded. What favor did you ask Isabella about? He smiled faintly. That's a secret, for now. I suddenly remembered something important. Do I still need to pay for that pajama? Emily, could you focus on us? John said dejectedly. I am focusing. Wasn't that your pajama? Shut up. The next second, he leaned in to kiss me. Car lights flickered in his eyes as his soft lips moved against mine, gradually burning hotter. Pressing his forehead to mine, he gasped unevenly, let's not go back to campus tonight. Okay? I bargained, can I say some dirty talk to spice things up? John frowned. I feigned retreat, never mind. I shouldn't push you. I'll just head back to campus. His lashes fluttered as he conceded, fine. Moonlight bathed the swing in the suburban villa's garden. The circular hot spring pool glowed at the center of the glass greenhouse. Gripping John's shoulders, I commanded while staring at his flushed eyes, "Call me hubby." He gritted out, "Emily, don't push your luck." I withdrew my hand with feigned indifference. "Whatever. If you're this reluctant, I can always find someone else." The instant I turned, an arm hooked around my waist, dragging us both into the bubbling water. Amid splashing waves, he pinned me against the pool's edge, mist swirling in his gaze. Too late to run now. When we woke the next morning, John asked why I'd gone to that distant restaurant instead of staying on campus to revise my thesis. Wrapped in a blanket, I lounged lazily on the sofa. "You probably guessed already." "Sophia again." John's expression darkened. "You should have reported her to the police 3 years ago when she drugged you before finals." I laughed bitterly. "How?" My mother snatched my phone, screaming that she'd finally gotten revenge. If I'd filed a report, how could she keep using this incident to humiliate my aunt? I hadn't shared these details with John during our initial breakup. Now, recounting them felt like discussing someone else's life, all fury and grief replaced by numbness. Since we'd come this far, I laid everything bare. "I lied to you at first because I couldn't explain my family's toxicity. That's also why I ended things. Before you, there was someone I secretly loved for years." When he finally confessed, I panicked. No sane person would choose me after knowing my family background. So I rejected him. "See? I'm terrible at relationships." John's jaw tightened, frost crystallizing in his eyes. I'd meant to explain that my breakup stemmed from self-sabotage. Not lack of feelings, but our love born from lies and adrenaline during crisis might not survive reality. Instead, he zeroed in. "You liked someone else? A college crush. We never even dated." Raw hurt surfaced as he insisted, "No. You can't like others. I've only ever loved you. You must only love me." This man turned startlingly clingy, resting my chin on my palm. I sighed. "That's ancient history. Of course I only love you now." "Say it again." "That's ancient," the second part. Realization dawned. I smirked. "But you said you hated me." "I'm easy to appease." John grasped my wrist, nuzzling it as he inched closer. His stoic expression clashed with the plea, "Just don't abandon me again. Then I'll keep loving you forever. Forever and always. Never changing my heart." Later, I teased him about lacking proper CEO vibes, acting more like an over-affectionate puppy. He leaned in to kiss me, murmuring, "Would you consider adopting this puppy then?" Seriously. Facing John like this, I often felt like some sort of predator. At the end of March, I joined Wilson Enterprises, coinciding with John's business trip. He specifically arranged for senior project team members to onboard me. Yet colleagues kept giving me strange looks from day one. The break room gossip soon revealed why. "Heard the new hire Emily is Mr. Wilson's mistress? But she's that top graduate from Lincoln University. Book smarts don't stop gold digging. Everyone knows he's engaged. Yet she still throws herself at him?" Slamming the door open, I confronted 2 men and 2 women. "Who's throwing themselves at whom? Did you personally witness Mr. Wilson's engagement under his bed?" The short-haired woman snapped. "Stop pretending." Sophia saw everything. "Saw what?" "Saw Mr. Wilson dining with his fiancée. And you shamelessly flirting with him." Pulling out my phone, I announced, "Perfect timing. Let's all discuss this recording with Mr. Wilson when he returns." 4 faces paled instantly. That afternoon, Sophia approached me teary-eyed. "Emily, we're blood relatives. Must you humiliate me like this?" Her talent for twisting truth remained unmatched since childhood. I remembered being 4, naively accepting her cupcake only for her to sob to my father, "Does cousin Emily existing mean you'll stop loving me most?" Dad had scolded me while cradling 6-year-old Sophia, you'll always be my princess. Sophia. Let's get more cupcakes. 20 years later. I coldly retorted. Save the innocent act. I'm not your uncle falling for this. Sophia switched tactics, as family. I can't watch our star scholar ruin her reputation. Funny. I countered. At New Year's. The Johnsons called me socially awkward bookworm. Remember when you put laxatives in my milk? Wipe out your only advantage. Wasn't it? I blasted the recording company wide. Deafening silence followed until evening when John at HR prepared termination for MS. Brown. Hire new receptionist. Sophia protested, this violates labor laws. John responded, you'll receive severance. But we'll disclose your resume fraud during reference checks. Post-termination. The break room quartet came apologizing. Addressing me as Mrs. Wilson. That night. I told John I should quit. This nepotism looks terrible. He wrapped his arms around me. Breath warm against my neck. 20 years ago. You protected me from bullies. Now let me protect you. Stay. But I want to earn my position. Then work harder than anyone. He challenged. Eyes gleaming. Prove them wrong. Unless you're scared? Never. I retorted. His lips curved triumphantly. Exactly why I need you here. MS. Johnson. I realized too late he'd manipulated me into staying. Again. Our story began 20 winters prior when Mother left me at Johnson Manor. The butler's grandson John became my shadow. When school bullies mocked my thrift store clothes. 10-year-old John fought them bloody. At 14, he shielded me from drunken relatives during New Year's. At 18, he intercepted my college acceptance letter the Johnsons tried to burn. Now 28. He pressed my hand to his chest. This heartbeat's been yours since we were 8. I'll keep creating reasons for you to stay until you finally see this isn't gratitude, but me loving every version of you, the scholarship student, the workaholic, the woman who still sleeps with childhood stuffed animals. My cheeks burned. You promised never to mention Mr. Bunnykins. Apologies. He laughed, kissing my fingertips. Let me rephrase, I love all Emilis. Especially the one who'll become Mrs. Wilson. Who said yes? I protested. Your eyes did. He murmured, sealing our future with a kiss. Outside, winter's first snow began falling, white flakes dancing like the day we first met. I said, but clearly, I got into graduate school on my own merits. I published those journal articles myself. I can definitely land an amazing job through my own efforts too. Fine. John had long mastered my bargaining tactics. Then if we can't see each other daily at the office, move in with me. Deal? I hesitated. But your suburban mansion is ridiculously far. His eyes sparkled as he pressed the car keys into my palm. No problem. This tangerine orange Porsche Panamera was always meant for you. You mentioned liking it 3 years ago. I never forgot. Damn. What a cunning man. Who could resist a tangerine orange Panamera? As I accepted the keys, I remembered something. But I planned to adopt that stray puppy I've been feeding after graduation. John's face fell. The notorious neat freak reluctantly muttered. Fine. I've actually always wanted a dog. Driving my new Panamera. I bought a pet carrier and supplies before heading back for the dog. I'd already named her Pudding. Unexpectedly, I ran into my father downstairs. His face darkened upon seeing me. Did you ruin Sophia's career? He demanded, storming over, holding the carrier. I replied coolly. She slandered her boss like some gossipy fishwife. She deserves this. How dare you? If not for you, Sophia would have had a brilliant future. Emily, stop being so selfish. Let me guess, when she failed exams. You blamed me for scoring too high. Now that she's jobless. It's my fault again. If Sophia dies young tomorrow, will you accuse me of not donating my lifespan? His slap came too fast to dodge. The metallic taste of blood flooded my mouth as my ears rang. Gripping the carrier, I smashed its sharp corner across his face, leaving an identical wound to those I'd borne countless times, though far more severe. Bystanding neighbors restrained his retaliatory rage. "She's a grown woman," shouted the man downstairs. "You'd really beat your own daughter to death?" After my father stormed off, the caramel and white stray bounded from the bushes, nuzzling my hand excitedly. As I settled putting into the carrier, my mother materialized. "Quite the rebel now. Hitting your own father," she remarked tonelessly. I headed toward the parking lot with my cargo. Her eyes lit up upon seeing the Panamera. "So the Wilson heir really chose you?" "Frankly, I'm shocked his corporation empire would settle for," before I could respond, she continued. "No matter. Milk this opportunity. After years of Sophia's bullying, finally we can show off. Drive this to my class reunion." Securing pudding in the passenger seat, I turned. "No. I'm never coming back." Her smile froze. "Your father hit you. Not me. Remember how I covered for you when you snubbed Mr. Wilson at New Year's?" The absurdity made me laugh. "You know what? I stopped caring about Dad's abuse ages ago. What ate at me was wondering why the woman who carried me for 9 months only sees me as a trophy." I pressed my throbbing cheek. "Now I realize that doesn't matter either. I'm done with you too." "How educated. Spouting such filial betrayal so eloquently," she sneered. "You crawled from my womb, Emily. You owe me your life. If I could choose." I met her gaze unflinchingly. "I'd never pick you as my mother, Susan. I'd carve out every bone you gave me to repay this cursed existence." For the first time, she faltered. Muttering curses, she fled, slamming the car door. I watched tears tremble in the rearview mirror before gunning the engine. The Panamera's purr drowned my choked sob as pudding licked my trembling hand. The love and devotion of others can never be forced. When I was young, the person I envied most was Sophia. At least her aunt and uncle always showed her unconditional favoritism and protection. What came effortlessly to her remained an unattainable illusion I could never reach in my lifetime. Fortunately, I've grown up now. Some things aren't necessities for survival. When I returned that evening, John stood waiting at the door. His eyes turned icy the moment he saw the swollen handprint on my cheek. "If you dare tell me this was an accident again, I'll personally pay a visit to your family home." Holding my muddy puppy, I murmured, "My father did it. But I fought back. He's worse off than me." John's voice vibrated with suppressed fury and regret. "Because I fired Sophia?" "Not exactly. Without this incident, there would have been another reason when Sophia got upset. Whenever she's unhappy, it's always my fault anyway. But I won't go back there anymore." Finally suppressing my tears, I looked up at him. "Take me home." John walked into the villa holding my hand in one of his and carrying the dust-covered pudding in the other arm. His expression grave, though his severe misophobia showed in the tense line of his shoulders. He never loosened his grip. Sensing his mood, Pudding tentatively licked his knuckles. John's face darkened further. "Only for my wife's sake will I forgive this transgression," he told the dog sternly. "No touching until you're properly cleaned." Pudding tilted his head, then suddenly licked John's cheek. John sprang up, marching the puppy to the bathroom before returning with stormy eyes. "When are you bathing this creature?" That night, I scrubbed the stray puppy until he gleamed, placing his bed beside mine. John arrived with an ice pack for my swollen face. Lashes lowered as he asked quietly, "If you ever go back there again, take me with you." "Promise?" "What? Planning to fight my father?" I chuckled, then winced at the pain. John's voice turned arctic. He doesn't deserve that title. Enough talk. My fingers began wandering mischievous paths across his shirt. I'm not tired at all tonight. Maybe we should cultivate some sleepiness together. Darling? John's Adam's apple bobbed, crimson blooming at the corners of his eyes. Don't call me that. But my face hurts. I whined, nuzzling his neck. Ice isn't working. Needs warm treatment. When understanding dawned, John's ears turned scarlet. Emily. I silenced him with a kiss. Mimicking his tone from 3 years ago. Don't say such things. What if others hear your indecent words? Laughing, I added, this is your villa. You old-fashioned prude. No one's listening. In the sudden quiet, John leaned close, breath scorching my ear as he whispered something that made heat cascade down my neck. Moonlight mingled with the haze of passion in his eyes, spilling through every corner of the room. Days later, the downstairs neighbor who'd stopped my father from hitting me messaged, Emily, your father's been arrested. My heart leapt. What happened? He got drunk after losing money in mahjong. Took a knife to collect debts. If the victim refuses settlement, he might face robbery charges. Your mother's filing for divorce. This might or might not be John's doing. Either way, I felt no urge to ask. Some people simply aren't worth the inquiry. During this period, Sophia had been struggling to find a job. With fabricated information on her resume and a history of spreading rumors about her former employer, few companies wanted her after conducting background checks. I don't know what Sophia was thinking, but in desperation, she actually came throwing herself at John. Emily and I are sisters. I'm even prettier than her. What does that bookworm know? Since you didn't even mind being with Emily, why not consider me? That night when John came home, his face looked absolutely thunderous. After showering, he came out and hugged me tightly. She threw herself at me, but I pushed her away immediately and even discarded my jacket. He said, his voice cold enough to freeze water. I soothingly stroked his hair. Sophia's quite a beauty. Didn't you feel anything when she came onto you? I did, he replied. Nausea. John continued. I detest Sophia. I blinked. Actually, she wasn't entirely wrong. While I'm somewhat attractive, you've been in the business world long enough to meet countless beautiful women. Why choose me? I expected John to reveal some secret about us meeting in childhood. Instead, he lowered his lashes and murmured, we're similar. When I was young, my father took a new lover. My mother immediately filed for divorce. But she only wanted to take my sister. She said I had the Wilson family's trash bloodline. Just like my father. My father remarried quickly and had a new son. He mostly ignored me. When I displeased him, he'd lock me in the closet all night. That's why he still kept lights on when sleeping. My eyes stung as sharp pain spread through my chest. But none of that was your fault. Adult problems shouldn't have burdened you. John nuzzled against me. I've grown past dwelling on meaningless things now. When trapped at that hotel, I noticed you immediately. We shared the same aura. Then you asked me to drink and proposed dating. You'll never know how happy that made me. He rested his head on my shoulder, affectionately rubbing his cheek against mine like an affectionate pudding. Don't leave me again, Emily. I can't endure another 3 years apart. Our reunion burned brighter than newlyweds. The spotless window faintly reflected sweat glistening on my forehead. 3 years of separation seemed impossible to fully compensate, no matter how many times we tried. In June, I returned to campus for graduation ceremony. Amid floating streamers, I delivered the commencement speech as valedictorian. Descending the stage, I immediately collided with John holding an enormous sunflower bouquet. Happy graduation, Emily. He smiled, lips curving upward while his throat visibly moved. Silently, He produced a small box from his pocket. The platinum band nestled in black velvet, surrounded by clusters of glittering diamonds framing a central pink diamond so dazzling it hurt to look at directly. It's museum grade. I had to treat Isabella to dinner and concede a business deal before she'd sell it to me and help commission the design. John gazed at me with nervous anticipation. Emily, will you marry me? So this was what he'd asked Isabella to help with. I said yes. I've always believed everyone gets equal measures of luck. The universe didn't give me a happy family or unconditionally loving parents, but blessed me with sharp intelligence and professional competence matching anyone's. As for emotional voids, John fills them all. Those meant to love each other will always find their way back.